I am pre-grading right now. This is my near mint and one LP. I have 72 of these in total, 25 Jinx, 32 Lees, and 15 Victor. I also picked up a bunch more recently that were well below the new market price that people just kept listing up. So pick up as many as I can. And these are the potential Black Label candidates. That's what I'm going for. Hopefully I can get one of each. Clearly the Victor is a little elusive. I don't know why. Only had 15 of them, so I guess that's why. A majority of the Jinxes, at least this is my PSA 10 pile, the majority of the Jinxes are PSA 10 and potential Black Label candidates. I have a lot of Lee Sens over here in this pile. You see a lot of Jinxes, and then there's my stack of Victors down there. They just all had some kind of scratches, so I'm almost done. I have 4 more Victors left, so we'll see how those turn out. And then the Lee Sens, but these are definitely way more difficult to grade than what I've been seeing on social media lately. Not a 90% rate. I would say maybe 40%. I'll have to do the math and come back later with a spreadsheet. And all right, here is that Excel sheet. We can look at the pre-check for each Lisa and Jinx and Victor. You can see the conversion rate to PSA that I believe could get a 10 is 15% for Lee, 32% for Jinx, and 13% for Victor. So way to go, Jinx. I'm glad that my copies were pretty clean. I think if these specific cards, the 5 Lee Sin, the 8 Jinx, and the 2 Victors that I think could qualify for a PSA 10, if they were to go under further scrutiny, which if it got listed as a potential Black Label at Beckett, it would go under further scrutiny. I don't think that those specific ones that would get a PSA 10 would make it past that inspection. So I would just send them to PSA, and I'm not going to spend $70 to do that. I will wait. I'm in no rush to do that. But I am going to go ahead and send out this Beckett order. There were 8 Lee Sins, 6 Jinx, and 2 Victors that I couldn't find anything wrong with. I'm not the best at checking centering. I'm not looking at it with a microscope and as scrupulously as they would. But you can see the conversion rate, 25%, I think, of the Lee Sins, 24% of the Jinx, and 13% of the Victors that I got. I bought these probably like 6 months ago, maybe even earlier than that, like right after the release. People were just selling them for like $3, $5, $10. So I picked up probably like 10 to 20 of each, and then they bumped up pretty hard. They went to like $30, $40, and then they went back down because the buying pressure went down, and more people were like, oh, I have that. I'm going to go ahead and list it up and sell it. So more supply hit the market. The prices went back down to about $10 for the Lee, like 15 to 20 for the Jinx and the Victor, and I picked up like 20 more, and I basically just kept buying until I ended up with the 72 that I have. So I'm excited to chase the Black Label. That is the goal, and I'm going to be selling off these PSA 10s hopefully to fund this excursion. So it's interesting because a lot of what we do see with Origins cards and these non-promo cards, the cards that weren't stuck in a cellophane wrap, have pretty good conversion rates for 10s. We'll see when I get my stuff back here in 3 or 4 months how this one turns out. So thanks for coming. My concluding remarks is that I haven't looked at these prices in a couple days. I believe there was a Jinx that sold for 1,500 or more. I saw a Leave that sold for like 917 or something. And then I also saw a Victor that was still on auction that was up at about $400. And it still had a couple days left. Uh, no one knows where the train's going to stop, but it's been fun being a part of it as a collector and a player since the beginning. Yeah, we'll see you for the next one. I'm going to be submitting another stack of cards. I have Origins All Arts. All the alt arts that I've gotten from like the 4 cases that I went crazy on. I also have all the promo from the pre-release legends, just like the stamped cards. I'm going to be submitting those. I have actually, I'm going to be submitting for a sequential set because all these I'll look through these, but I also just want a sequential set that's slabbed up for myself. And then, of course, all the overnumbered. I have 3 signature cards. I don't have that many. I wish I would have bought them when they were $200-300, but I didn't. I did get some really great stuff, so I'm glad to share it all with you next time. Peace.